friends, and I think we are live. Welcome back. Hi, friends. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to tonight's live chitty chat. I'm Christopher.
Hi.
And what's your name?
Angela.
That's Angela. That's my wife, and I'm the husband.
Sorry, I was reading comments.
Hello, Flyer Dad, my cousin over the seas, and hello, Kelly. Thanks for stopping in. Hi, guys. So this is a live video. If you're watching this later, we are a small hatchery called Dinosaur Omelette in southern Lancaster County in Pennsylvania. We missed last week. We didn't do a live last week because we went for a trip in beautiful northern Pennsylvania. And what's our favorite little town?
Wellsboro.
Wellsboro. We got married up there.
Very cute and small.
My birthday's coming up, so we went up there for a birthday trip.
Yeah.
So we took off for a little bit. But welcome back. So yeah, if you're new here, if you want information, education about quail and homesteading, hit the old likey and subscribe button because we have been actually posting pretty frequently. And we do these every week as, what do you call it? Weekly education on the live. Flyer Dad. Hi, adventures? Yeah, we did have good adventures. It was very pretty up there. We're outdoorsy people, so we did an outdoors trip.
We usually focus on the mountain bikes and more active, but this time we did hiking and just a little bit lower key. So that was really nice. It was a peaceful adventuring time.
Yeah, so and now we're back and took a very brief respite from doing animal work, which was a nice change. All right, so what are we doing tonight, folks? Well, if you have any questions, please pop them in the questions or comments. Even if this is after the live, we see the comments and we do get to them because we're a small channel. We don't have a million people calling us, but we do have people who do want information, so we do get to it. Sounds good, says my Flyer Dad friend from the Netherlands. Yeah, it was nice. It was a nice trip, man.
Yeah.
If you guys look, if you need information, we always put education in our description down in the bottom. There's some quality stuff. We wrote all this junk because we wanted people to be able to read and educate themselves quickly. Nobody has attention spans anymore, and they don't want to sit through hours of education. So literally wrote a 25 question how-to on quail, which answers all your startup questions, and you'll know how to raise these things proficiently. So if you want that, down the bottom for free. It's a PDF link. Just click it. It's all quality. Oh, thanks, Kelly. So tonight's question and subject matter is something that people frequently have to decide when they're ordering animals or starting a food program. Do I buy chicks? Do I look for full-grown adults somewhere? Or do I try to hatch the eggs? And we focus on quail, jumbo craternix quail, which lay these delightful eggs. Very nutritious, tasty, and I don't want to get into a whole spiel about it, but quail are great. We can talk about that later. But we focus on the jumbo quail because of their egg proficiency, low cost to start up. They don't take up any space. And they're really, really phenomenal creatures to raise as a food animal, particularly in modern United States where nobody has a lot of space anymore. And they got to deal with the neighbors and all this whatnot because they live in suburban kind of communities.
And then, of course, they're also really good for meat. Not just eggs.
Really good for meat, yeah, because they grow so rapidly. They have a very, very rapid.
And they have their form is nice. They're very meaty for the size of the bird and lean, so it's healthy, yummy stuff.
So you're dawdling along. You decide, hey, I'm going to start a food program. I'm going to raise creatures, and you're looking at quail, and they're stealthy birds. Says Flyer Dad. Yes, they are. They don't make a lot of sound. They're relatively quiet. I don't even hear them. We got 100-something, a couple hundred in the back in the one area, and I don't hear them at all. Just a little chitter chatter, but none of that crowing because the ratio is good. The male to female ratio keeps that down.
Yeah.
So I want to start a meat and egg program, and I want to get quail, and I'm thinking eggs I could hatch, chicks because they're cheap, adults, they're harder to find, they're expensive. So each one of these has pluses and minuses, and that's what we're going to discuss. And if you guys are thinking about starting with these animals, starting with quail, or even if you're selling them, or you know people are thinking about them, these are important points that need to be considered before going in on it. And it's not really too difficult, but I think the more more information you have about it, the more confident you'll be in your decision making. Make sense?
Yeah. I
hope so. All right, so let's start out with.
Did you want to read Kelly's comment?
Oh, Kelly had a comment. What did Kelly say? Haha, yeah, the covert birds for my covert self-sufficiency operation in the backyard. Yes, I was reading down the iPad in the bottom. So I'm thinking of ordering quail eggs. I'm going to go hatch them. Why is this beneficial? What are the pros and what are the cons?
And this would be shipped hatching eggs.
Yeah,
right?
shipped hatching eggs.
To clarify.
I'm looking online at MrQuail.com. That's probably a thing. I bet it is. I'm looking at MrQuail.com, and he has shipping eggs, and they're X amount of dollars each. So will I order shipping eggs? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and order shipping eggs. What are the pluses and minuses of doing that? Angela?
Well, pluses. Let's start with the pros. Hopefully you're going to be ordering from a good breeder. So you're going to be potentially starting out with good stock, good gene pool, and have an expectation for what the end product of the birds will be, provided you care for them properly, you're feeding them properly, and they have all their needs met. What do you want to read the comment?
Yeah, Kelly had a comment about cons. Let me see here. Trying to get this thing. Cons are, it's a hard thing to do on your own with no experience. You get down on yourself really fast if you're new.
Yeah, that's true.
Aaron's in the house.
Oh, hey.
What up, my southern brother? What's going on, man? Yeah.
So
starting out with a good breeder, quality birds, that's where we're ordering eggs from, right? That's where at least we want to start a baseline there. So let's eliminate the goofballs, and we're going to get good quality stuff.
So you're getting good quality
pros and
eggs.
Cons.
Let's see. Yeah, you know what you should have an expectation of what they're going to turn out, because the breeder will tell you they're going to be in this range of weight when they mature, and you shouldn't have anything unhealthy. Well, I guess that really doesn't apply to hatched eggs, because the health is determined a lot by how you care for them. But good strength, healthy, strong genes.
Flyer Dad had a good question. I'm going to get to in a second. I'm going to get to your question. The cost. I think that's a huge.
Well, I was just saying the pros first.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a pro.
Oh, go ahead.
Eggs are.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So I think intuitively we're thinking, yeah, man, I'm just going to order 50 eggs because it's cheaper than ordering 50 adults. Aha!
I think even ordering chicks. I haven't ordered shipped eggs in a while, because then there's the shipping costs. I haven't compared. Anyway.
Give me my train of thought. So I'm ordering the 50 eggs, but there's something we have to consider. Half of them are going to turn out to be most likely, what, males?
Right, but that's also with chicks. So.
Yeah, well, I'm just talking about the eggs. So we're ordering eggs. Half of them are going to be probably male, maybe more or less. So then we're considering the number that we want. Like I want 25 hens, okay, 50 eggs is good. But if I want 50 hens and I get 50 eggs, you have to put into consideration the ratio of male to female from an unsexed bunch of eggs. You don't know what you're going to get. So the con is you're going to be ordering to compensate for that discrepancy or that.
Yeah, so lower cost to start, but then might end up with not the number that you're looking for. Can you think of any other pros?
A huge pro, the whole hatching process. People like doing that.
That's true.
So that experience, like you're connected to the creature, and it's a huge pro.
Yeah,
right.
we've got quite a few comments,
Aaron, as a matter of fact, in the comments, is a great egg shipper. We don't ship eggs. But even if we did, I'd still say he's a great shipper of eggs. He does good eggs and good birds. So Flyer Dad, will cheaper incubators, this is from our friend in the Netherlands, will cheaper incubators work, or do you suggest to go professional from the start? Good question.
Well, it depends on your goals concerning incubator decision. If you're planning on doing a lot of hatching and consistently hatching, and if you're able to invest in a good quality one, then I would recommend, starting with a good one from the get-go. If you're planning on just hatching once in a while and you're not really sure, how often, oh, hey, Bill, then there's nothing wrong with starting with a cheaper one that maybe the quality isn't so good. And the thing about it is, yes, the more expensive ones, like cabinet ones and such, are just really good brands. they tend to hold their humidity and temperature well, but pretty much all of them do need tweaking as the eggs are.
Kelly made a really good point from Feathered Connection Homestead. Kelly said she'd start cheap and just the important part was getting a secondary thermometer because even the good incubators lie. Yeah, the thermometer issue is something to be attentive.
You want to have minimum 2. If you want to have more than that, you can. Readers for temperature and the humidity.
Yeah.
But if you have a lower quality incubator and maybe you're having some hard times keeping the temperature at a certain, the right, if it's not staying up high enough, you could always wrap something around it. If the humidity isn't staying up high enough, then you can always have an open dish with like a sponge or a rag in there to wick the moisture out, which makes a big difference. So there are things you can mitigate and help with lower quality machines, but it is less frustrating working with a higher quality one.
Yeah, and the temperature fluctuations you don't want.
Right? Yeah, and part of that too is location, where you have it placed. Is it drafty? Is it really dry air? That sort of thing.
Look what Aaron said. This I just noticed. It's very nice. Off topic. You guys always have the absolute best presentations and backgrounds on your lives. My favorite channel to watch.
Thanks.
I made this piece of junk with some styrofoam board and spray painted it, but it looks real.
He's very, very creative. And he loves the crafts, as you can see.
Yeah, in my next life, I'm going to be a little old lady and I'm going to do crafts.
And teaching little
kids. With the kids. So.
Yeah.
All right, so eggs are cheap. However, we're not going to know the sex of the animals, so we're going to probably have to order double. And there is another issue, the shipping. So good breeders, obviously, they're going to ship with foamers. They're going to be protected eggs.
They're going to do what they can.
And here's, the problem, and I feel bad for the guys shipping, it's not their fault. As soon as the mail guy touches the box, throws it in the back of the truck, keeps it in the ice cold freezing weather for 6 hours while they take a break. So sometimes you're going to have corrupted eggs. You're not going to have any eggs that are not going to thrive simply due to shipping, not because of the breeder who's selling you the eggs. And then the poor breeder's like, oh man, he's calling me. What, I didn't do this. And they got to replace them. So do keep in mind when you're ordering eggs, there's a chance that you're going to have a lower hatch rate simply due to rough handling. Or
extreme temperature.
If you remember back in Corona days, there was shipping problems everywhere and mail, everything was a problem. So things are getting hung up. So eggs that might get to you in 2 days are now taking 5 days or more, and they're being shuffled around. Luckily, that's not so bad right now. But keep in mind with shipping, you may have a lower hatch rate, and couple that with the fact that you're probably going to have 50% male, give or take. So that's going to be something you're considering in ordering.
And if it's your first time hatching, because you're just getting into this, then that might affect, how the turnout of the actual hatch itself with the whole process of incubation and hatch, because it's new to you. So, but even people who are experienced hatchers and have hatched many eggs, these are all still things that they would still face, is the shipping, the ratio, and all that.
That's about it with eggs. Eggs, they're fun. They're great to hatch. If you have kids, it's a really phenomenal experience for the children to do because they really get to participate in what to them is the creation of life. I mean, you take this inanimate circular orb, and then in a couple weeks, you got little peepers. Beep, 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 beep. And they really love that. So I like that. And it's a good experience. So I think that's a huge, huge pro. And I encourage that. And if it's more practicality, it's cheaper for, ordering a bunch of eggs than getting the chicks, which we're going to talk about now, chicks. So should I order eggs? Now I'm thinking about chicks.
So with quail, I don't know many people who actually ship them because the quail babies are just so small. Quail are hardy, but the quail jumbos, for example, they have a faster metabolism. So yes, for example, when you're hatching, they're in the incubator and they're hatching, they do have that yolk for 3 days, just like the chicken chicks. But they tend to get pretty darn hungry when you're pushing them toward that 3 days. So if they are, if there's a delay in when they're now able to eat, if they're being shipped, then you may end up with chicks that are dehydrated or maybe even starving in starvation mode by the time you get them. So a lot of people don't ship them because of the fatality rate.
Bill said he has 25 little peepers.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Yes, that's right. You were collecting your eggs and wanting to add to your
He was the fella. Bill, you're the guy with the bad roosters.
They weren't as friendly, the birds.
Yeah, so hopefully these guys turn out okay.
Yeah, I'd like to, let me know if you handle them more or do anything different with this batch.
Yeah. These are from
Aaron. Oh, okay, good. So he's got new genes.
They're polite too. Those are southern quail. They're going to have a much kinder disposition. So
with the chicks, it's probably more likely you're going to find somebody local and buy from a local person.
Quality breeder.
Yes, still please look for a quality breeder. Let's see, Aaron's
birds
Kelly's
are constantly in the incubator. Yeah, get a quality breeder. I always tell people, do your due diligence, because you got all these hillbillies raising quail in the worst conditions, and they're unhealthy and crooked. And the consumer doesn't know. They're just excited to get something new. That's why we do all this stuff, to give education. Don't be afraid to do a little research and ask for any kind of credential or history of the product. It's like any other product. You want to buy something good, especially if you're going to invest more time in it. It might be a $3 or $4 animal, but the amount of time, effort, and energy you're putting in it, that extrapolates. It's a huge investment. I found a quality breeder, Dino Omelette. Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
She said, ha ha ha, I'm a hillbilly, but take good care of my birds.
Oh, Kelly.
Well, that was Marissa.
Yeah, with the she got them from us. Yes, thank you.
So chicks. So the thing with chicks, similar to the eggs, they're gonna most likely be unsexed. So you're looking at a 50-50. Again, the pro, and this is a big pro. Somebody hatched them for you. They've already been hatched. Hopefully, like we do, their health is being ensured. That the animals are being checked for any malformities, or splay leg, things like this, making sure their features are all healthy. So the breeder's you got healthy critters. They're doing a secondary inspection of them before you even get them. And they've been hatched. And they made it through those first critical days where they know, okay, they're probably going to survive. Because quail, if they're making it past their first few days,
they're
going to live.
3 days. Yep.
So they don't have any die-off. So that's a good thing. That's a huge plus. Not knowing the sex. They're going to be unsexed when they're day-olds. Okay. But again, the price. They're going to be a little cheaper. The cheapest, of course, obviously, of the hatched animal. Now, question, we was talking about this. Like, what should they charge? What's the price? It depends on your area. Because if you go online, you're going to see people, how much you charge for birds. I charge X amount of dollars. Like, well, that's way too much. And it probably is for their region. The United States is a big place, and local economies are very different. And then economic conditions change from season to season. We all know about the fun game of inflation. Feed goes up, all these energy costs go up, and that's going to be translated into the animal that you're buying, whatever it is, a bird, a cow, a moose, it doesn't matter. The price is going to be reflected that way, but it's again going to be regional. So asking how much is X animal depends on your area very much, most likely.
Yeah. Aaron had a good comment. Good point.
When searching out a breeder, if they don't want to answer question, keep searching. Right. Oh, cool. Kelly said, I just started my jumbo sex link pen. Everyone this year wants sexed babies. That was a hidden comment because it had the word sex in it. Very good, YouTube. You're pretty good on your censoring there.
And
that's awesome, Kelly.
Is the sex linked, is that the first hatch out, you can tell, which are, male and female based on the feather pattern as day olds. But the next generation from that is that, because we don't have the sex linked ones, I believe the second generation, let me know, Kelly, that they're not sexable yet anymore at that point.
Okay, so I'm talking about the birds, pros and cons with the
chicks.
The day olds, the little chicks.
Right.
So yes, there's now, I don't know if you consider this a con, but it's something to be aware of, the brooder stage.
Right, yeah, I was going to mention that, yeah.
Go ahead.
Because so now you skip the egg hatching part, which is, it's a fun, interesting thing, but can be a challenge. Now you have them in the brooder. and it depends on the time of year. They don't stay indoors very much long at all compared to chickens, but they are inside. And quail.
Most common question: how long do they have to have light, heat?
Oh, thanks, Aaron. I was right with the sex lengths. Yeah, only first gen. Yep.
Sorry, I threw you off track.
Oh,
with how long you keep them in heat. Everybody asks in the brooder stage, which you have to do with chicks.
So I'm strictly speaking of jumbo quail, not the standard size. It depends on the room temperature that you have the brooder in. So like let's say you have them indoors in a comfortable temperature. Make Egyptian jumbos over jumbo pharaoh females. Oh, okay. So yeah, to keep them sex linked. But yeah. But for the consumer, if the consumer is getting them, then the following generations wouldn't be sex linked. But the breeder, if you have the two types and you keep breeding them, then you'll keep supplying this sex linked. Excuse me, throat is dry. The temperature of the brooder, if you have them inside and it's 70 degrees or whatever room temperature, the heat on them, provided there aren't any like serious drafts or anything going into the brooder.
Which, by the way, is all mentioned in that PDF at the bottom of the description.
Yeah.
Chick care.
The jumbo quail, they grow their feathers pretty quickly, and they have a fast metabolism with their fast growth rate, and so their temperature is a little warmer. So once they hit about a week and a half old, if you're using a heat light, they're not going to need it on them as much. And so between that week and a half to 2 weeks old, then the light or heat source can be removed if the room temperature is still comfortable and pretty warm.
Now, Bill said that he told us that he had hatching his own eggs. He had 17 birds down in the cage. That will be 6 weeks old this weekend. 8 hens, 9 roos, probably off to the freezer camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, they are tasty little critters.
Yes.
So she said male. Kelly.
Oh, okay.
It's hard doing these lives. We get comments here. I'm working on the phone because I don't... And I have an iPad down here to read comments. So anyway.
Yeah, to make it a little... Because they don't disappear.
So brooder stage, I'm not saying it's a con or a pro. It could be depending on who you are. People like to have the brooder stage because, again, it's a stage of growth and it's an interaction with the animal. But it's something to be aware of.
And an important thing about it is being properly prepared for that life stage. And a con could be, you're having to tend to keeping them clean and tidy because they do, can produce manure.
And dust.
So as long as you have a good system for keeping them tidy, like a deep litter system or trays or however works for you, then it's a smooth process. So
and fun.
Yeah.
And it's cute, seeing little things run around.
Yeah.
Like fuzzy little ants. Okay, so eggs, chicks. What about sexed adult birds? I'm skipping over juvenile. I'm going to go them to the end. But what about sexed adult birds? I think that's pretty obvious. The pro.
Oh, well, they're ready to lay eggs. They're ready to reproduce. You can start collecting eggs pretty quickly and hatch your own. Yeah, so they're mature.
Ready to go. Ready to start a program.
Mature.
So a con, you may be thinking, is they're expensive. They're more expensive. Yeah, sure, they're going to be 10, 12, whatever, dollars, 15, depending where you are.
Yeah.
The price is going to fluctuate again regionally. So you're like, well, that's a lot of money for a bird. Actually, let me do this. This isn't like the sales spiel, but listen, think about this logically, because I'm thinking about this. The dude I'm buying this quail from hatched them, fed them, and cleaned them for weeks and weeks to get them up to this size, 6-8 weeks. It's a lot of time and effort and energy to go into raising the bird. And a breeder, yeah, they're going to be able to do it at scale on behalf of the purchaser at the other end. So if you're buying quail, and you may want to get the adults, but you're like, they're a lot more expensive. Yes and no, because you're going to wind up spending money and time. Time's extremely valuable in the whole raising process. And if you're looking to eliminate that, the adults might be the better option. Yes, you're going to be more at checkout, when you're paying. But in the long run, if you divide that up over the 6 weeks, and incorporate the food cost, driving time, all that stuff,
Yeah, you weren't feeding them all that time.
So
taking care of them.
So that's, I think, when we're thinking of pros and cons, price is something that sticks to us like that, but we think of price as a black and white thing and really don't incorporate it in a more like economic context. But in that context, I hope that makes some sense that, hey, yeah, right, this guy did all that legwork for 6 weeks for me. That's a month and a half of time where you're not getting up, feeding and cleaning every day, at least feeding.
And then that's not counting the incubation time as well.
Yeah.
Me too, Kelly. Okay.
Earplugs.
Yeah, Kelly was saying she broods them in the living room, so she's cleaning them a lot, cleaning the house, the area a lot.
Yeah, like when we have a lot of males, I'm just like, it drives me nuts.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? So, but again, so the entire process, any age, any eggs, chicks, or adults, juveniles, you're always going to want to make sure you're working with a reputable breeder, because if the adults, if you're getting birds that are juveniles to adults, then how they were fed matters. If they were fed, if their nutrition needs were not met and consistently met throughout their growth stage, you're very likely going to end up with stunted growth.
Not to mention the environment, like if it's in a crowded room or a bunch of barking dogs and temperature fluctuations, that can inhibit the growth.
Yeah, and then that would definitely affect their genes, so future generations.
You don't want that.
And you want to make sure you're working with an honest person, an honest breeder, because, well, what if they're saying to you, these are 9-week-old quail, but really they're like a year old or something. They just look good. They have nice feathers. So you want to make sure that you're working with somebody who's selling you good product, because
Kelly had a fabulous comment. If you need any house tips, let me know. I got it down. And mine are only loud day 1 in the brooder. What do? Yell at them? But that night is very loud.
Well, I think a big part, it's like babies, is what I've noticed with any of the different chicks.
Kelly does a good job.
Is that if they're screaming, then they're in need of something. Something's going on that's not being met. They're either too cold, too hot. They don't have their food and water. They let you know if something's wrong, just like a baby cries when they need something. But if all those things are met, the proper temperature, their area's tidy, they have their food and water, then everybody's usually pretty happy. I kept my last batch in the living room until 4 weeks, and they stunk. I believe it, Bill. Yes. Yeah, summertime's coming up, which is awesome for anybody who's brooding quail, because when it's nice and warm, hot summertime, then they can be outside even at 2 weeks old, which is awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. So, that was pretty straightforward with the adults.
Yeah.
A little more money up front in the beginning, but you're cutting out all the costs. Plus, the sex you're getting and everything.
You're getting eggs right away.
Not right away. Now, let's not be honest
That's
here.
true.
When you move them, that's a stress event for the bird, and they may stop laying for a week or 2.
Yeah. As because it's a transition for any creature that's living, including humans. When there's a transition in environment or whatever, and so a major transition, it's going to cause stress on them, on their body, on them mentally. So adapting to that new place, that new environment, it's kind of a shock. So they'll have to relax, de-stress, and then their system will get rebooted.
I think it's
cool. A week or 2.
I think their biology is really fascinating, just the whole way that functions, like the animals in an environment it's not familiar with. No reason to lay babies because it could be a hostile environment, and they acclimate to the new environment.
And then also they're experiencing stress. The body's experiencing stress. So that whole thing then is now using the whole transition of moving from one place to another is using up a lot more energy, because stress makes you use energy, and producing eggs
makes me eat.
Eggs uses energy, so they have to draw from somewhere.
Kelly said usually they're loud the first day because I moved them from the incubator. Yeah, they'll holler when they want out, and they're just adjusting to the box for a bit.
Yeah.
Aaron said I brood everything outdoor year-round. Typically during the summer, I slow down hatching. This year, I'm still hatching 500 plus every 3 days to keep up.
Wow, that's awesome.
Man, that's really cool. That's
Yeah.
a huge, good for you, man. That's a lot of work.
Kelly, we
That's
have
great.
we have our brooder in the basement. Our brooder box is in the basement, and our laundry is right next to. So when the dryer is running, and if it's loud, then the quail chicks start screaming because they're just like, "What is that noise?" So it's just like, oh, and then they take a couple minutes, and then they get used to it.
Then they're back to be. That's not a stressful environment. They still grow healthy.
Right? No, yeah, they're fine. It's just
they don't have any barking dogs sniffing around the cage all night. All right, so adults. I'm gonna take this damn hat off. It's getting itchy now.
Yeah. So after the transition, then they'll start laying eggs.
Yeah, adults. There's a bug on my phone. Get off, bug. So adults cool, eggs cool. We know about them. Chicks cool. Now let me talk about the juveniles, or the 3-week-old birds. They're not laying. Okay, they're not quite full grown.
Yeah.
But they're a little more grown. They're no longer in need of the brooder.
And they're sexed.
And they're
sexable.
So these are all pluses. Juveniles, 3-4-week-old birds that can be sexed. So
and can go outside.
Yeah, for you guys who don't know, and a lot of people in here know these animals, but jumbo craturnix, the pharaoh.
Pharaoh,
right?
wild.
Or wild or brown, what are they called? They're sexable by their feather pattern at 3 weeks, maybe even a little earlier. So at that stage, the juvenile stage, you can get the sex you want. You know, and most people are raising these for eggs. They want eggs, so they don't need a whole bunch of males. So they're not going to want to buy a bunch of males. So, hey, yeah, I'm going to spend a little more. They're less expensive than the adults. But they went through the hatch. They went through the brooder stage. And now they're just in their growth phase, which is really rapid anyway. So you're going to be growing them for 3 weeks, and they're going to start laying. And by 8 weeks, they're pumping out eggs daily.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we do a lot of juveniles.
Yeah, we do. And yeah, like, I mean, juveniles, it's definitely a good stage. If you're looking for that, like, where's a good compromise, you know, because
I'm against it.
There's still growth.
I'll tell you why.
Okay, that's fine. There's still growth to go, but they're out of the brooder. I don't know. And the cost would be in the middle.
The reason I'm not really against it, but I think for somebody who's new to this, it shouldn't be that instant gratification thing where they're already laying.
Yeah.
It's a really good learning process to start with them as at least chicks, if not hatching yourself.
It's really rewarding.
Yeah.
To see the whole process.
So if it's a first time, I would recommend just going, getting chicks. Yeah, you're going to wind up with more males. If you get 20 chicks, 10, 12 males maybe. But it's a very good learning process, and you develop a responsibility, and especially if you're working with younger people, kids, young adults, it'll give them that responsibility because they have to make sure they're eating and they have their food available. So for me, it's like another one of those personal development things. I'm really pro put in the work because it's very rewarding at the end. Bill's saying something here. Let me grab my iPad because I can't read that. It's been below freezing a lot of nights here, maybe 50 in the garage. We have to brood in the living room. Yeah, we were up north last week, and it did get chilly at night. They were so fun to watch, double in size. It was really relaxing to just observe them, too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
actually.
I like watching them.
Oh, it is rewarding, right?
I think, did Kelly's comment?
Oh, Kelly had a comment that... how do I zoom this out? Kelly had a comment that got hidden again because you must have used a bad word according to YouTube. Oh, I got to send you guys the video of my kids learning to feather sex the grow-out chicks. They loved it. I posted it over my channel. I was so proud. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't get a notification. I'll go check.
That one above it as well.
I know the crying hurt noise, though, so don't worry. Mine are chatting and playing day one, but just doing it loudly.
Yeah.
Coolio.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I have Quail TV in my living room after your chat. Oh, that's cool. Quail TV in his living room. Can't get enough of the little birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's already gotten into busy season. Busy season starts in January, February. People start planning for spring.
Yeah.
So it's running wild. I guess that'll sum up everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like we discussed eggs. I didn't do a graphic. Like usually I'll do like a supplemental educational thing, like a piece of printable material to explain this. But I didn't want to do that with this because people are going to ask how much. How much should I charge? How much should they cost? And I'm not going to dictate what somebody in California should charge as opposed to somebody in Texas, Arkansas. Right?
It's very
Those
different.
prices are all going to fluctuate. Do your research in Europe or in Europe. Flyer Dad.
Right. Any new gardening videos coming up?
Oh, maybe I should. I just put in a carrot bed. I don't know if I think I did a brief thing about that.
Yeah, you did.
So much work because I had to get a sifter and sift out phase 1 dirt to get out stones, and then get a smaller grate to shift out the smaller pebbles.
What would be the best size to introduce to an already established covey? I always recommend 5 weeks, not younger than 5 weeks. Because 5 weeks old, the quail, they're similar in size to the adults. They're still growing, but their growth has slowed at 5 weeks. But the main reason is that they're similar in size, and that's really what you're going for is the size consistency. Even if they have a little bit more space, more growth to go, that way when you put them in, they don't stand out too much. Their mentality may still be immature, which could be helpful in them integrating. And not focusing so much on hierarchy from the get-go, but 5 weeks and older.
Could you explain hierarchy? I know Marissa knows, and probably everybody else here does, but if somebody's watching later, hierarchy, social hierarchy of
poultry.
Bird. Yeah.
So it's interesting. The poultry, I've noticed it in most. We have the quail. We have the chickens, we have layer chickens, silky chickens, and then we have the ducks, Muscovy ducks, and they're all always working on their hierarchy. Some of the groups, it's daily, and some of them, it's just like throughout the week. But to them, it's there's a top bird, just a top bird, and it trickles down, and the top bird might have perks as far as
the dominant.
The other one's moving out of the way for it to like access food and water, but other ones challenge, so it's always kind of changing.
It's the alpha dude, man. It's the male walks in, he's like, what's up? You're not gonna mess
or female.
Yeah, because they want their genetic progeny to be the ones that survive, so they need to be the dominant party, very common even in humans.
But
go out to a bar with
instinct.
Young kids, they're like, what are you looking at? They want to fight for breeding rights, and it's actually legit. So
it's a healthy, normal behavior for animals that live in groups. But as long as their needs are met and that the spacing's proper, the feed and water supply, their the elements, they're sheltered from elements. So there's not stressors. And when there's stressors, then they get irritable.
Yeah.
And maybe if there's too much space in a cage, that can create territorial behavior amongst the covey. Some quail might start claiming space.
Regions.
Yeah, and then you might get aggressive issues. So if you're making sure you're meeting their needs properly, then the hierarchy should flow and work properly. And if you're adding extra new birds, then it's always good to take everybody out, cause confusion, and then put them in.
There could be aggressiveness. I don't want to go too much of a tangent with this, but there could be aggressiveness simply because there's too many males. Or it could be an issue with, unfortunately, just bad bird, bad gene, right?
Yeah.
A bad temperament. But
it's more commonly an environmental or stressor thing.
That's usually
those are potential.
Take the bird out of the cage, which is going to, reset their hierarchy? Take them out for a few hours, sit them somewhere, reintroduce them, and he'll have to establish pecking order again.
Yeah, and sometimes people have to do it more thoroughly, like take them all out, put them in a new cage for a little bit that's foreign, for a couple days even, and then return them if there's still an issue.
Luckily, you raise them in hutches and tiny facilities. You don't need gigantic coops for them.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I think, is that going to be...
Yeah, if anybody has questions, let us know.
Yeah, if you got questions, stick them down in the comments. Take our free info, the PDF stuff I like creating for you guys, and share it with the kids. It's all kid friendly. It's nice, happy pictures.
Yeah, and please subscribe to our channel and like our channel. We're working on giving you guys educational, interesting material based on being self-sufficient, homesteading, growing food in the garden with your animals, and just having a quality life.
Oh, thanks, Bill. You too. Back to Quail TV.
Quail TV, yeah.
Yeah, like it's my birthday on Monday. Yay, so I'm going to go play. We're going to go biking or something. I'm going to be 49. I'm like, I don't want to be doing this. I've been around here since the mid-70s over here. I remember the 80s. I always tell the kids I'm from an ancient time called the 1980s. So, yeah. Isn't that horrible? I don't know.
Fine.
Like, it keeps on dragging.
You live life in a
It's
quality
funny.
way.
So, like, I guess after you hit 40 or so, it's like, man, 20 years. It's like when you're a kid, time goes by in like 1 year increments, 6 month increments. When you're older, it's like decade patches. I forget entire decades. I'm like, I'm 49. I thought it was like 30 something. I don't know what the hell happened. It just flew by. So Monday we're going to go biking. But I really appreciate you guys stopping in and participating. And, you know, stop by for the next one. We do these usually every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
We try to do them every Thursday, unless there's technical difficulty or something like that. But, yeah, we try doing new education each week, too.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a challenge itself. But
all right, well, thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, we'll see you guys. I'm going to hit X. Ow, there's a bug. I'm going to hit X and see you guys later.